do you got?
Yeah, I guess it's my turn. So we're doing this episode for November, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And here in the States, we celebrate Thanksgiving.
Oh. It's
Thanksgiving.
Oh.
So I thought
we are gonna have
it would be fun
Yeah.
to talk about what happened after Thanksgiving. Because everybody knows the Thanksgiving story.
A lot
Usually
of shit
it's,
with corn in it.
I was going to say usually Christmas is the next one, but okay.
I want to talk about America's, well, not America's, but probably
Settlers.
the first war in American history. First real war in
On the
American
continent?
history.
This sounds against natives.
Yes. It's called the Pequot War.
Pequot.
Are you guys familiar with this at all?
So I am familiar with Pequot bombs. So
Pequot bombs?
Yeah, so me and my friend, what we used to do is we would get Pequot, and if you get aluminum foil,
What's Pequot?
it's like a generic drain cleaner.
Okay.
And if you put either tinfoil or aluminum foil and you shake it and you throw it, it explodes and makes a loud noise. It's not really destructive.
Mm-hmm.
It just pops really loud.
That's cool.
It's fun. Like we used to go into like playgrounds and like throw them
Throw to children.
and blow things up.
Right.
So
Just all
I'll
good
tell you a little
nature.
story real
Good
quick.
nature.
Nothing works better on children than Drano.
Yeah.
The
So
fuck are you talking about, Brian? You throwing bombs? at
Pequot
kids?
bombs. It was at night. We would go and do this. Like we just needed
You have
empty.
a career with kids, maybe not.
No, we would
word
just-
your shit.
We would
different.
need empty lots to blow them up. Like so we go to like playgrounds at night, parks or whatever.
right.
But there was one time we were by my friend's house and we were just making them like we always do, and we threw it into the middle of the street.
Yeah.
And as we do it, a cop car pulls up and it blows up on the cop car.
Oh my God.
And we fucking we're in the woods kind of by his house, and we blow it up.
How old were you?
I was between 16 and 19.
Okay. You're a terrorist now. You know that.
You're an adult.
Accidental terrorist.
Just a
It's a
wide
wide
man.
If there was like titles for these episodes, accidental terrorist would be a very good
Yeah.
title.
So it blew up on the cop car, and obviously the cops were like, what the fuck?
It just happened, yeah.
Yeah.
So we book.
Uh-huh.
We jet
Did they
through the
chase you?
woods. I'm sure they were, but we kind of had a head start.
Mhm.
And we run through the woods and we get back to my friend's house and we're hiding. And yeah, that was the time I used a Pequot bomb and accidentally
Wow.
hit a cop car. I never told you that story?
No, I've never heard that.
Nice.
Yeah.
But the Pequot War,
Yeah.
Okay.
not that.
Not Drano.
Okay, I guess this requires some background. 1620s, the Plymouth colony is founded. Everybody knows about that,
Yes.
right? Puritans, Englishmen.
Solid rock.
Lend me your ears.
Out west of that, in the Hudson Valley, the Dutch have set up their trading posts.
Oh, yeah.
And in
Pelts,
between,
pelts.
well, that's going to play into this.
Ah.
In between, you've got the natives. Now, the most powerful group in the region, in like what is today Eastern Connecticut, are the Pequot. And the Pequot kind of dominate the rest of their neighbors.
The tribe.
Yes,
Oh,
the
okay.
Mohegans and the Narragansett in particular.
They're the big players.
They're the big players in the region.
Mm.
What they do is they make what's called wampum, which I'm sure you've heard of.
I've heard the phrase. I don't know what wampum is.
So wampum is almost like sashes or cloaks made out of seashell beads. These beads that are like that they carve out of seashells, right? Now the Indians love this shit. They love wampum. Specifically the ones that are living in like the Hudson Valley, far away from the ocean. They can't make their own. So the beaver pelt trade, which is a big thing at the time, right? Everybody wants these beaver pelts. The Iroquois will get the beavers. They'll trade it for wampum. and then it makes its way back to the coast.
And
right?
the wampum has no real utility besides like fashion.
It's what the beaver pelts have no utility other than they make hats out of them.
That's what I mean.
You know,
It's fashion.
it's
Yeah,
the
I'm
same
just saying,
thing. Yeah. No, it has like ceremonial.
It's like gold.
stuff.
There's no utility to gold.
Right, but
You know?
the Europeans catch on to that the wampum can be used essentially as currency amongst the natives, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they depend on the natives to trade and make these colonies that they're trying to establish.
You need them to get
successful.
you shit. Yeah.
Right.
You just get stuff from a box of seashells. It's
Yeah.
good.
But the Pequot, they're the big players in the wampum trade. The Narragansett, who are their rivals, are like the second biggest. So Plymouth colony is a success. And over the next 10 years or so, thousands of Englishmen come over and start flooding what would become New England. They establish Boston, which is the main city.
Oh, shipped up. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're looking to expand and make new settlements and everything, right? So they have a working relationship with the Pequot, but there's obviously tensions. Anytime these two cultures come into contact with each other, there tends to be
disagreements.
at the very least high anxiety among both groups. But,
Shit may pop off right now.
right,
Yeah.
and shit does pop off, here and there, and they need to reckon with that as it happens. There's the Pequot are also doing business with the Dutch, right? So, some Dutch piss off the Pequot and get themselves killed. The Pequot kill them. The Dutch respond by killing some Pequot. It looks like there's going to be a war, but the Pequot are a little indiscriminate, and they see kind of any white person as the enemy.
Yeah, you're with them.
And they end up killing a guy named John Stone.
What was the name?
John Stone.
John Stone.
John Stone is an Englishman.
It's a good
Okay.
name.
He's
Good
not
name.
Dutch.
He was very heavy though.
Right.
He's
Like a
one
stone.
stone.
Yeah.
Is that heavy? I don't know.
No, I think a stone is like 14 pounds.
Okay. Well, John Stone, just to speak of his character, he's a sea captain, and he's kind of like a piece of shit.
Oh, he's garbage.
He's like a drunk, and he's like an adulterer, and the Pilgrims and Puritans over in Boston,
They don't roll with
they
him.
don't like him, but he's
Okay.
still their guy, and they kill him.
That's our scumbag.
Right.
Oh, I should
Like you guys with me on the show.
Yeah.
I should say this. In I believe it's 1634-ish, there's a plague that
Okay.
hits the Indians real hard. And it diminishes the Pequot by like 75%.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Like
So they're
they
weakened.
get ravaged, and it opens up a power vacuum amongst their rivalries. Now, remember I said that they kind of dominate the local tribes?
Yeah, I have a feeling that's about to change.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the sachems among the Mohegan is a guy named Uncas.
Uncas.
And
That's a bad name.
Uncas is an ambitious dude.
Uncas sounds like fucking like the guy in Guar. Like that's what I think.
Yeah.
Uncas is the name of one of the guys from Last Mohicans, if you remember.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
why I know
yeah.
that.
There's also Uncasville, which is where current day Foxwoods is, I believe, in Connecticut.
Foxwoods.
This is the whole region we're talking about,
Okay.
right? So the Narragansett, seeing the weakened Pequot, declare war on them and try to take over the wampum trade, right? Meanwhile, they've got problems with the Dutch.
Tapo hits Tapo.
Tapo hits. We can't get anything done. Cracko.
Craco, yeah.
So the Pequot are like, all right, we have to go to the English and say we're friends. So they go to the English and they make a treaty where they're going to allow sole trade with the English. They're going to stop trading with the Dutch and the Narragansett and only trade with the English. And they're going to let the English form settlements on the Connecticut River. So the English are like, great, we're going to do that. So they set up these towns and a fort. The fort is on like the mouth of the river. It's like Long Island, the Long Island Sound, and this fort's like up there,
Okay.
right?
It's got the high ground.
Yeah.
Don't
So-
try it.
So now that the English are living in close proximity with the Pequot, there's a lot more contact with them and a lot more opportunities for bad shit to happen. And
It does.
Uncas is like, this is my opportunity.
Did he have a wife?
I'd probably.
She was an Uncas fucker.
Yeah, she was.
Sure.
You fucked your
sure,
Uncas yesterday.
yes. So Uncas goes to the English
That's a reach.
and he tells them the Pequot are planning to wipe out these villages on the Connecticut River.
Okay.
They're gonna kill you.
He
Just
warned
peaceful people,
Right.
You know?
He takes it upon himself to be like, hey, you didn't hear from me, but they're coming. Now, whether this is true or not, nobody really knows. But
He could have just been,
but the English take it very seriously.
as they should.
Right. So they go to the Pequot and are like, oh, I should say this. When they made that treaty, the Pequot with the English demanded they bring the guy who killed John Stone to justice, to hand him over.
Okay,
them.
that.
And they have neglected to do that up to this point.
Oh,
So
So
this
there's
is-
no treaty, really.
This is still an open
Yeah.
thing.
they're still mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the English go in and they start demanding shit. They go into the Pequot villages and they want the killer of this guy. And the Pequot are being very like tight-lipped about it. They won't say who it is or what, or then definitely not handing
don't
him
know
over.
nothing.
Like, we're not doing this. And it kind of simmers down. But then something happens on a place called Block Island. Block Island is this island off the coast of Connecticut that has a substantial
That's where they build Legos, right? Isn't that the Lego
Yes.
factories there now?
Where the park
Block
is.
Island.
Block
Lego
Island is,
Park is on
is
Block
Narragansett territory.
Okay.
And an Englishman gets killed on Block Island by the Indians.
Seems to be a common thing.
But the Narragansett immediately run to Boston and go, look, this guy got killed. We are sending 200 men to Block Island to arrest the people that killed him. But some of them escaped into Pequot territory, and the Pequot are harboring them. So the English are like, what the fuck?
This is like the Zimmerman telegraph of like the 1600s.
The Indians are trying to play each other to get the English to beat up
Yeah.
the Pequot.
Yeah.
Right? And the English have no problem doing that.
Yeah, they're like, okay. Sure.
Yeah. So they send a ship from the fort on the Connecticut River to Block Island with a bunch of guys, and they attack the island. They like take out everybody on it. They capture it. They take prisoners. And they find out that, yes, there's some people that have fled into the Pequot territory. So it's like, all right, we've had enough of these
So it
fucking
wasn't
Pequot.
too much of a mistake.
Right.
Yeah.
And they go to the Pequot, the biggest Pequot village they could find, right? And they are like, all right, hand over the guys, and right now, give us the guy who killed John Stone. And this is when they finally find out that the guy who killed John Stone is, in fact, a guy named Sassacum.
Sassacum.
Yes.
Was he sassy?
Yeah, he always gave everyone an answer.
And he is in, I'm sorry, Sassacus. Sassacus, not
Sassacus.
Sassacum.
That still works.
Sounds Greek.
Yeah.
Sassacus
Brian can't pronounce it.
Suffer and suck a cat.
is the head sachem of the Pequot. He's their chief.
Okay.
He's their leader.
Oh, the
The
chief.
chief
So they're
is the
certainly
murderer.
not going to hand him
Yep.
over.
They should have.
So the English burned the village.
Yep, as one does.
And this is the start of the Pequot War.
This is like right after Thanksgiving.
It's like 10 years later.
Okay. It's in the wake.
So now the Pequot are on the warpath. They immediately put to siege the fort. The people inside it, anyone who's outside the fort dies. Like you can't be in that region.
Yeah, if you're not in
if
the
you're behind the wall, if you're outside the walls, you're dead. They kill you. And they put it to siege, and they're there for a long time. Meanwhile, they raid the villages on the upper river, right? That the English had set up.
Uh-huh.
They kidnap a couple of girls, like
Oh.
teenage girls or something, and they take them back deep into their territory. Up in Boston, there's actually like a religious.
John Wayne goes for them, right? He goes to get the girl.
That's the search.
She ain't white no more.
Up in Boston, there's actually like a religious upheaval among the Puritans. Like they're trying to oust this guy, John Winthrop, who's been the governor of the colony ever
Okay.
since the beginning.
They're trying to get more religious or less?
There's like a heresy, and they need, and they're completely embroiled in this. They're not worried about what's happening on the
Okay.
frontier. So they no reinforcements are coming.
They're
from
worried about
Boston.
crucible shit.
Yeah. So it's completely left to the people out in the wilderness to fend for themselves. It just so happens that a Dutch ship leaving New York New Amsterdam, is passing through the area, and the English in the fort, because it's right on the water, they can see them. They're like, can you do us the favor and go into the Pequot territory and see if you can get these girls that have been kidnapped back?
Oh, wow.
So the Dutch decide to help out.
And the Dutch captain was like, I don't do that anymore.
So they do. And I more or less through negotiation.
The Extraction prequel. For Hemsworth as a Dutchman. All right.
The Dutch rescue the girls, bring them back to the fort. And the girls have some information. They're like, the Pequot have gathered a large amount of them in this place called Mystic.
And they're spraying Faygo everywhere.
A gathering of the Pequot.
Yeah. They're in Mystic? Right. So they're worshiping Julia Roberts?
That's that spot, right?
Yeah.
Mystic, Connecticut, on the Mystic River, right?
Mystic River.
Okay. So, meanwhile, back at the fort, Pequot diplomacy. They come out and they call out the guys at the fort. They're like, we want to talk to you. And the warriors go. I have exact quotes.
Okay.
So they say to the guys at the fort, have you fought enough? And the guys at the fort go, not yet. Do you kill women and children? The Indians are asking them this. And now this is weird because normally the Indians tend to avoid killing women and children.
Oh, really?
They steal them. They capture them and make them slaves.
Love slaves, yeah.
Well, not just slaves in general, right? And the Indians go, the English go, we'll see.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And the Pequot respond, we are Pequot. We have killed Englishmen. We can kill them like mosquitoes. We will go to Connecticut and kill men, women, and children. And then they walk away. That's the end of the diplomacy.
Diplomacy
Shit's on.
Good diplomacy.
Yes. So the Pequot raid the English towns. They're killing lots of people. But finally, they figure out what the hell's going on in Boston, and they send an army down. And now they're armed with this information that the teenage girls have brought them. And a force from the fort goes by sea into the Narragansett territory, meets up with an army from Boston. There's like, and I say army, it's like a war band. There's like 90 of them. There's 90 Englishmen, and they go to the Narragansett and said, let us pass through your territory. And in fact, you should probably help us. The Narragansett join up with the English.
Yeah, I've been waiting to kill some Pequot.
Yep.
The enemy of my enemy.
And the Mohegans. So now there's an alliance. 500 Indians, 90 Englishmen. They decide to march on this Mystic. Now, Mystic is, when they get there, they find it's got giant palisade. They can't break through it. And in fact, the Pequot have actually moved all of their women and children in waiting for this war. They've moved them all to Mystic.
Okay.
So it's filled with the civilians.
Yep.
Like 20 guys managed to break through the walls, but they are quickly repulsed and pushed back out again. So the English are like, okay, well, we fought in Europe. We know how this shit goes. We have our own tactics that the Indians have never seen before.
Yeah,
and they're like, we'll fire the town. So they set it on fire and they burn everyone. They kill like 700 people.
Holy shit.
Wow.
It is called the Mystic Massacre. I have the date if anybody wants to look this up.
So when you're watching Mystic Pizza next time, just remember
this is like pretty much where Foxwoods is today, the casino.
All right.
May 26, 1637.
This is the Mohegan Sun. That makes more sense than the Foxwoods.
A massive destruction of the Pequot. Now remember, the Pequot have just been plagued.
Now they're even worse. Yeah.
There's barely any of them left.
They're almost extinct.
Yeah. There's an army of 300 Pequot marching to the relief of Mystic. They see the smoke in the distance and are just
like, what
despondent. Is the Indian allies with the English are horrified by what they've seen. They've never seen war like this before.
You mean you just burn everybody?
This is just too fucking brutal for them. They're like, the way the English make war is like it's so needlessly brutal that they abandon the English and they try to leave. But the Pequot army meets up, runs into them as they're trying to leave.
And it's like, you guys
You did this.
and they start killing and capturing them, and the English are forced to intercede and rescue their former allies.
Wow.
So there's a big ass battle. Pequot lose. And they're so just broken by seeing what has happened to them.
Pequot.
Yeah. That Sassacus, remember the guy,
Yeah.
their leader, he gives up. And he's like, we have to abandon the region. He moves it's over. We lost. He moves everyone who's left out of Connecticut and takes them west. And he wants to go and live among the Mohawk. Problem is,
The Mohawk don't take too
Mohawks are
kindly
vicious,
to that.
yeah.
when he gets to the Mohawk, they murder him and his bodyguard and just take whatever's
Yeah.
left. And that's the end of the Pequot. The Pequot
Wow.
were completely
Pequot tribe.
annihilated.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if he would have just been like, yeah, I killed this dude, I surrender, his whole tribe would have lived.
Yeah.
Well,
If he gave himself up.
Yeah, his whole tribe would have lived probably.
for a time,
Yeah,
time,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
In theory. Wow.
there was really no stopping
The other ones, though,
expansion of what, this is eventually what became, this is the United States in the womb,
Yeah.
wow.
Wow.
Eventually all these people were going
Yeah.
to be displaced at the
Mhm.
very least.
It's an inevitability.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't have been
Manifest destiny.
massacre, Who knows what
It may have
happened.
ended differently if he had surrendered,
Yeah.
but this is how it played out.
Wow.
And Sassacus got killed.
Is that what the song
in the
Into the
Hudson
Mystic is about?
What's Into the Mystic?
Nothing. It's a song.
Yeah.
Into the Mystic.
By whom? I don't know the song.
I'm looking it up. I don't know it.
But yeah, Pequot War.
It's by Van Morrison.
Yeah, I feel like
Cool.
it's a very important conflict that
Yeah.
just people don't know about.
Never really spoken about.
I think it's
And then
because
King
the
Philip's War
shadow
comes
of,
after that, which is even bigger.
the shadow of categorizing what like the expansion out west kind of covers all that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but this is
Like
so
how many times did
like,
that actually happen? where it's
imagine
like,
if-
people, let's eliminate them.
Well, you tell everyone the Thanksgiving story, and then you're not telling them the next part.
Well, there was actually a play made by Sassacus to unite with the Narragansett.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he wanted to.
When you said play, I thought like
Theater?
he made like a
Theater?
theater
Oh
play.
my God.
No. It was a tactic. He actually went to the Narragansett and said, "Let's join forces and kill the English."
They were on tour.
Yeah, they did like Macbeth. Like,
couple of nights in each city.
But the Narragansett didn't go for it, and I think there was some English intervention on that point. Like they had agents in the Narragansett being like, "Don't do this."
Yeah, you don't want this.
Yeah.
You want the English here.
Right. Because they are all making money off the English.
Yeah.
They're
making wampum.
They're making womp, but
Yeah.
and they don't know what's coming.
No,
it's
how
like
could
it's
they
just
fathom
people
it?
living.
They hadn't seen horses. Like
At this point,
yeah.
they're familiar with Europeans. They understand.
Yeah, horses have been there,
Yeah.
I guess. But yeah, it's still new to the continent relatively.
Oh yeah.
But on the timeline, the people living at that moment who are making money, like the native tribes,
Mhm.
you're gonna have another generation or two before like you're really kicked out. No,
Right.
you got in your mind nothing's happening, and it probably didn't for the rest of your life. You're
Think of
probably
this way.
good.
By the time the Salem witch trials happened, which is
1600s, yeah.
1690s,
Yeah,
which is it's only 40, 50 years, after this.
but that's a generation.
The Indians are gone.
Yeah.
There's no one in the region.
Yeah.
It's completely
Yeah, they're
Anglified.
forced west.
Yeah.
Yeah,